Ever feel like your ideas get stuck halfway to the finish line? Let's fix that today with one of my favorite innovation tools, the Kanban board. Kanban board is a great way to make your thinking visible when it comes to a goal or big task you're trying to accomplish. The idea behind a Kanban board is that you have your task inventory, a backlog of the things that you need to do, and you progress them along the way as you are achieving them so that you can see what ideas still need to get done and what have been completed. I first started using Kanban boards during COVID when I was teaching in middle school computer science class. When you're teaching students over Zoom, you need a way to make sure you know what they're doing and that they know what they're supposed to be doing. I started using Kanban boards to make their thinking visible to themselves as well as to me, their teacher. So what exactly is a Kanban board? Well, a Kanban board can be either digital or physical. If you're in the digital realm, you might have heard people using digital whiteboard spaces like Canva or Miro or Figma as a way to create a digital Kanban board. Other tools that I've seen people use are Trello, Notion. I use a program called Xtiles to create my digital Kanban boards. In my classroom, we simply used Google Slides as a means to create a digital Kanban board. So anywhere in the digital realm, you can create a Kanban board. It's really just a big glorified table. In the physical world, one can use a whiteboard, which I'm going to use today. I've used a manila envelope as a Kanban board. You can use just a piece of paper. You could do it in a journal. Anything goes. So today we're going to use a whiteboard. When I was back in person and working with Kanban boards in my classroom in my makerspace, I had a big whiteboard that I used with the kids as our Kanban board in the classroom so that they could see how they were progressing along in the projects that they were doing in my class. Today, I'm going to show you here on this whiteboard. So let's get to it. A Kanban board, as I said, is basically a glorified table. And it's a very simple table. In its simplest form, you would have 3 columns. 1, 2, 3. In your first column, you would have your to-do list. If you were working in a technical field, sometimes they would call this a task backlog. I like the idea of calling it a backlog because it is really a log of all the tasks and things that you want to do. Sometimes the word to do has negative connotations depending on how much you love working with to-do lists. I don't really like it as a term because I bring heavy negative connotations to it, but if it works for you, please call it. You can call it your to-do, or you can call it your task backlog. So that's your first column. Then your next column is your in progress column. What task are you currently working on? What's in progress? You can call that your in progress or your doing column to simplify it. So this is what I'm doing. These are the things that are in progress. And in the last column, can you see that? Doing? I think so. I'm not sure. But anyway, right here it says doing. And then in the last column, this is the most fun column because that's where you get to put all the tasks that you are done. So 3-column structure, and it basically works as a pull system. So what you want to do is when you are beginning a specific project that you are working on or an idea, because we are all hatchers here, right? We're going to write down all the different tasks that we have to get done related to this big idea or small idea that we're trying to move forward. And each of those ideas you should put on a separate sticky note. If you're working on a whiteboard, I would use sticky notes for your task so that you can easily move them from one column to another. I have a set of magnetic sticky notes here. I can move them from one column to another quite easily. The basic tenet is one idea, one small task, one doable thing that you can get done in 5 minutes or less. It might be longer because these are big ideas. The idea is that you don't want to put, let's see, draw the circle, color the circle, and turn that circle into a snowman all on one sticky note. You don't want to do that. You want to have your idea broken down into small enough pieces that you can put one idea per sticky note. Let's say I'm working on the idea of a couple weeks ago, I did this big idea, fall idea harvest festival. That was a big project. Some of the tasks involved in that project might have been, one of the tasks might have been create flyer. Let's get that in focus. Hopefully this is in, now it's focused. So create the flyer. Another task would be invite email list. And let's do one more. Another task might be to, would have been to create a LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn event. All right, let's pretend that's what we were working on together. And so now I've got my task backlog and we're ready to use the Kanban board. When I'm ready to work on a particular task, I move that task from to do to doing or in progress. I work on the task, and when that task is complete, it gets moved over to done. However, the idea is that you don't want to fill up your doing column with all the things in your task backlog. Otherwise, it doesn't really serve a function or a purpose, and you're just going to be stuck in that overthinking loop, which we're trying to get out of. Perfectionism, analysis paralysis, all the things that hold us back. This Kanban board and making our thinking visible is going to help us move these ideas forward with ease. So the idea is one thing your task backlog can be filled with items, but one thing in the doing. And then over time, what I like about this whole possible process of making your thinking visible is that satisfaction of seeing all of these tasks that you've completed, and as you move along, you can celebrate having accomplished small tasks toward your larger goal. Kanban boards are great for short sprints or long sprints or sprints of any length. In the Hatchery, we love to sprint using 6-week cycles, and I am going to encourage members in our next sprint, which is coming up very soon on Monday. If you want to join us, go down to the description and join us in the Hatchery. We would love to have you to take your ideas from start to finish in 6 weeks. In that 6-week cycle, to have all of your tasks, what you're trying to achieve, visible. Now, as you're going through your sprint, you may add on from week to week, you may add on new tasks because you started something and realize, that task that I've completed, invite my email list. I forgot to invite my family members. So I would go back in and write a new task, invite family members, and that's okay. I might also, as I'm sprinting along, realize that I don't need a particular task in the task backlog, and I might take that away. That is how that works. It's a really dynamic process which helps you to take courageous action on your ideas, on your projects, anything you're trying to move forward. Kanban boards are great. So if your ideas are swirling in your head and you're stuck in that overthinking loop, stuck in perfectionism, analysis paralysis, try setting up a Kanban board. It is hands down probably one of the best tools I love to use when I am trying to move big projects forward, my big ideas forward, even my small task. The beauty of the Kanban board is one small glance down and you know exactly where your momentum is. You know where you are in action and when you are not in action. And if you'd like support or accountability while you sprint, join us in the Hatchery. We'd love to have you. Every quarter, we do a 6-week sprint cycle, and our next one is coming up very soon. Actually, by the time this video hits you, we'll be just starting the sprint cycle, and we'd love to have you join us for the next 6 weeks or for future sprints. Remember, your Kanban board is the key for you to take it out of your head, put it in the task backlog, get into courageous action, start doing, and celebrate when things are done.